They called her the girl who turned men into beggars. By morning, she'd be sold. By noon, the buyer would be ruined. By sunset, he'd return her, pleading for mercy. For 3 years, the stepmother sold her again and again, but no one ever asked why the girl always came back richer than when she left. In the trading town of Adjoa, where gold dust settled on windowsills and merchants' children wore silver anklets, there lived a woman named Adjoa. Beautiful face. Designer clothes. Cold heart. When her husband died and left her with his daughter from his first marriage, Adjoa didn't grieve, she calculated. The girl's name was Osei. 12 years old when her father died. Gentle soul. Quiet spirit. The kind of child who'd share her last piece of bread with a stray dog. Her father had loved her more than gold itself. Which is exactly why Adjoa hated her. 3 years of servitude. That's what Osei got. While Adjoa's biological children, 2 sons, spoiled and lazy, ate chicken and rice, Osei got scraps. While they slept in rooms with fans and soft beds, Osei slept in the kitchen on a mat that smelled of old cooking oil. While they went to school, Osei washed their uniforms. The village knew. Everyone knew. But Adjoa had money, and money buys silence. The neighbors would whisper, "Poor child," just like Cinderella, then go back to minding their business. Because in this world, kindness is expensive, and most people are too broke to afford it. Osei had stopped crying after the first year. Tears don't wash floors. They don't cook food. They don't make cruel people kind. So she worked. And worked. And worked. Until her hands bled and her back ached and her heart became a small, quiet thing that barely beat anymore. She kept 2 things hidden, her father's photograph and a wooden bird he'd carved for her 7th birthday. Osei, it said, "You're meant to fly. Never forget that." But how do you fly when your wings have been clipped? How do you soar when you're chained to the ground? Adjoa found them one night. Took the photograph. Burned it in front of Osei. "Your father is dead," she said, watching the girl's heart break in real time. "The sooner you forget him, the better." But she kept the wooden bird. Not out of mercy, out of cruelty. To remind Osei that even memories could be taken away. That night, something in Osei died. Or maybe something in her was born. Sometimes, you can't tell the difference. His name was Mr. Mensah. Wealthy trader. 3 wives already, but greedy for a 4th. He'd had Adjoa had a stepdaughter, young, obedient, trained in housework. Perfect wife material. He came with a bride price that made Adjoa's eyes glitter like a snake watching a mouse. Adjoa called it an arrangement. A marriage opportunity. A better life. But let's call it what it was, a sale. She was selling Osei like a goat at the market. 15 years old. No choice. No voice. Just a commodity with a price tag. Mr. Mensah examined her the way you'd examine a used car. Looked at her teeth to check her health. Squeezed her arms to see if she was strong. Asked if she could cook, clean, bear children. Osei said nothing. What was there to say? She'd learned long ago that words cost energy she didn't have. The transaction took 15 minutes. 50 minutes to sell 3 years of suffering. 50 minutes to trade a girl's future for a stack of bills. Adjoa didn't even pretend to be sad. Just counted her money and planned what she'd buy with it. Osei watched her childhood disappear through the car window. The compound where her father once lived. The mango tree they used to sit under. The well where he taught her to draw water without spilling. All of it fading like a dream you can't quite remember when you wake. Mr. Mensah's house was a palace compared to Adjoa's kitchen. Marble floors. Air conditioning. Servants. But Osei wasn't there as a wife, she was there as the lowest wife. The one who do what the others refuse to do. The convenient one. The disposable one. That first night, Mr. Mensah explained what he expected. An Osei, who'd learned to endure everything, who'd survived 3 years of Adjoa's cruelty, who'd locked her heart away in a box so deep even she couldn't find it. Osei finally felt something again. Terror. And then it happened. The thing Osei didn't know she could do. The thing her father's bloodline carried. The thing that had been sleeping inside her, waiting for the moment when survival became more important than silence. She glowed. Not like a bulb, like the sun. Pure golden light pouring from her skin, her eyes, her fingertips. And with that light came a voice, not hers, but ancient, deep, resonant. This child is protected. Touch her, and lose everything you own. Harm her, and lose everything you are. The light showed him things. His own soul, laid bare. Every lie he'd told. Every person he'd cheated. Every heart he'd broken. Every child he'd exploited. 3 hours he knelt there, weeping, as his entire miserable life replayed in golden light. 3 hours of judgment from a 15-year-old girl who didn't even know she was judging him. By morning, the light had faded. Osei didn't remember any of it. She'd been unconscious, channeling something bigger than herself. But Mr. Mensah remembered. Oh, he remembered everything. And when he looked at Osei now, he didn't see a commodity. He saw something holy. Please, he begged, go back. Take this money. Tell your stepmother I cannot keep you. Tell her. He struggled for words. Tell her you are too precious for this world. Tell her I am not worthy. And he gave her triple what he'd paid, not as a refund, but as an offering. Osei returned the same day she left, holding more money than Adjoa had sold her for. Word spread fast. Mr. Mensah returned the girl. He gave her money. Something happened. But nobody knew what. Even Osei didn't know. She just knew she'd survived another night. Adjoa didn't ask questions. Didn't ask if Osei was alright. Didn't ask what happened. Just snatched the money, counted it, and smiled. And in that smile, Osei saw her future. This would happen again. Mr. Mensah's story should have been a warning. Should have made Adjoa stop. But greed doesn't listen to warnings. Greed hears a prophet and nothing else. Within 2 weeks, another buyer came. Then another. Then another. Chief Osei. Local ruler with 12 wives and an ego the size of Mount Kilimanjaro. He wanted Osei because Mr. Mensah had returned her, which meant she must be special. Men like Chief Osei collect special things. He paid double what Mr. Mensah paid. By now, Osei had learned something. She would be bought, something would happen, she'd return. She didn't understand it, but she could feel it, a presence inside her, waiting. Like a guard dog that only wakes when danger comes. Chief Osei lasted 3 hours. The light came faster this time, angrier. It showed him not just his own sins, but the sins of his ancestors. The slaves they'd sold. The villages they'd burned. The power they'd abused. 7 generations of corruption, played out in golden fire. When dawn came, Chief Osei had aged 10 years in one night. His hair, once black, now white. His arrogance, once unshakable, now dust. He returned Osei with 4 times what he paid and a message for Adjoa: your stepdaughter is not human. She is a curse. Or a blessing. I cannot tell which. But she is not for sale. The second return caused rumors. The girl is cursed. She's possessed. She's a witch. But Adjoa had a different theory. The men were weak. The girl was lucky. And luck could be profitable if you knew how to use it. Mr. Boateng was different. Educated abroad. Modern thinking. He laughed at the village rumors. cursed. Please. Those old men just couldn't handle a young wife. I'm not like them. He paid triple what Chief Osei paid, confident he'd succeed where they'd failed. He treated Osei like a business acquisition. Gave her a tour of his assets. Explained how lucky she was. How much he'd paid for her. How she should be grateful. Men like Mr. Boateng don't see people, they see investments that should yield returns. He grabbed her arm. And the light didn't just glow, it exploded. Blew out every window in the house. Shut down the electricity. Set off every car alarm in the neighborhood. And in the center of it all, Osei has rode back, speaking in a language older than the village, older than the nation, older than memory itself. The light showed him something the others hadn't seen, his own death. Not how he'd die, but what would happen after. Where his soul would go. What judgment waited. What he'd have to answer for. Mr. Boateng, who believed in nothing but money, saw eternity. And it terrified him. The police found them at dawn. Mr. Boateng couldn't speak for 3 days. When he finally could, all he'd say was, "Return her. Return her. Return her." Like a broken record. Like a man who'd seen God and couldn't unsee it. The third return changed everything. Now the village didn't just gossip, they feared. Mothers pulled their children inside when Osei walked by. Market women wouldn't sell to her. Even the pastor crossed himself when he saw her. They called her a Beifo witch. But Osei said nothing. Just continued her chores, quiet as always. But Adjoa kept selling. 6 more times over 6 months. Each buyer richer than the last. Each return more dramatic. Each payment larger. By now, Adjoa had built a new house. Bought a car. Sent her sons to expensive schools. All funded by selling Osei again and again to men who'd return her within days. Adjoa convinced herself she'd found the perfect scheme: sell the girl, get paid, get her back, keep the money, sell her again. Infinite profit. The girl never got hurt, she always came back. The buyers never complained, they always paid more. It was perfect. Until it wasn't. Nana Abena, the village's oldest soul, had been watching. Watching and remembering. Because Nana Abena remembered things the village had forgotten. She remembered Osei's father. She remembered his father. She remembered a bloodline that carried something the modern world had stopped believing in. When Osei received the summons, she went expecting more cruelty. Everyone else feared her now, why would an elder be different? But Nana Abena didn't flinch when Osei entered. Didn't make signs against evil. Just looked at her with eyes that had seen a century of secrets and said, "Sit down, child. It's time you learned who you are. Your father," Nana Abena began, "was the last son of the Asofo lineage. Warriors who protected this village for 300 years. But they weren't just warriors, they were guardians. Chosen by the ancestors to carry divine protection. Every generation, one child is born with the gift. Not a curse, a gift. The ability to channel ancestral protection when threatened. Your father had it, but he never needed to use it. He lived peacefully. Married. Had you? Hoped you'd never need it either. But he knew. The night you were born, you glowed for 3 seconds. Just 3. Most people thought it was the lamp. But your father knew. You'd inherited it. The divine protection. The ancestral shield. The thing that activates when your purity is threatened. Purity, Nana Abena continued, doesn't mean innocence. It means authenticity. A soul that hasn't been corrupted by greed, by cruelty, by malice. You've suffered, child, but you've never become evil. That's your power. That's what the light protects. Every man who bought you came with impure intentions. greed, lust, power, control. And every time they tried to take what wasn't theirs to take, your ancestors rose up inside you. Not to punish, to teach. To show them what they'd become. To give them a chance to change. And some of them did change. Mr. Mensah now runs a home for orphan girls. Chief Osei built 3 schools. Mr. Boateng funds shelters for abused women. Your light didn't just protect you, it redeemed them. That's the real gift, Osei. You're not cursed. You're a healer. For the first time in 3 years, Osei cried. Not from pain, but from relief. She wasn't a monster. Wasn't cursed. Wasn't broken. She was exactly what her father said she was, meant to fly. The cage couldn't hold her because she was never meant to be caged. Your stepmother brought this to me, Nana Abena said, holding the wooden bird. Wanted me to cleanse it of your father's spirit. I refused. Kept it instead. Waiting for this moment. She placed it in Osei's hands. Your father wanted you to fly, child. So fly. The bird glowed in Osei's hands. Soft. Gentle. Like her father was reaching across death itself to hold her one more time. And in that moment, Osei made a decision. A decision that would change everything. The final buyer was different. Ambassador Okoro. Corrupt politician with ties to trafficking networks that stretched across 3 countries. He didn't want a wife, he wanted a commodity. He'd heard the rumors, didn't believe them, and saw Osei as an investment. He paid 10 times what anyone else had paid. Adjoa thought she'd hit the jackpot. 10 times the usual price. She could build another house. Buy another car. Send her sons to universities abroad. She counted the money 3 times, laughing, planning her empire. She didn't notice Osei's come. Didn't see that the girl wasn't afraid anymore. Ambassador Okoro's compound was a fortress. Walls topped with barbed wire. Guards with guns. And in the windows, Osei saw them, other girls. Trapped. Hopeless. Some younger than her. All with the same dead eyes she'd seen in her own reflection. This wasn't a home. It was a prison. He explained it casually. How she'd be prepared for international clients. How much money she'd make him. How resistance was pointless, he'd broken stronger girls than her. He spoke like he was discussing a business plan. Because to him, that's all she was. A product. A profit margin. When he approached that night, Osei didn't shrink back. Didn't cry. Didn't beg. She stood tall, closed her eyes, and whispered, "Ancestors, I'm ready." Show them everything. The light didn't just glow, it detonated. Every corner of that compound lit up like daytime. Every hidden room revealed. Every secret exposed. Every girl trapped there felt warmth for the first time in months. And every man who'd ever hurt someone felt judgment. The light showed them everything. Every girl they trafficked. Every life they destroyed. Every family they torn apart. 3 hours of unfiltered truth. 3 hours of facing what they'd become. 3 hours of divine justice from a 15-year-old girl who'd endured more than they'd ever inflicted. The light was visible for 20 miles. Villagers saw it. Police saw it. News crews saw it. By dawn, the compound was surrounded. The girls were freed. The traffickers were arrested. And Osei finally collapsed, but this time, she was smiling. She woke up 3 days later in a hospital. The other girls had refused to leave her side. Called her their angel. Their light. Their sister. And for the first time in 3 years, Osei felt something she thought she'd never feel again, belonging. Adjoa's arrest was almost anticlimactic. The police traced every transaction. every sale, every payment. She documented her own crimes, keeping records for taxes. Her greed had created her own evidence. She screamed about injustice, about ingratitude, about how she'd taken care of Osei. But no one was listening anymore. The judge who sentenced her was Mr. Mensah, the first man who'd bought Osei. The first man the light had changed. He looked at Adjoa with sadness, not anger. "You were given a precious child to protect," he said. "Instead, you tried to profit from her suffering. 20 years in prison. May you find the redemption you refused to seek." 6 months later, Osei lives with Nana Abena. Goes to school. Laughs. Studies. Dreams. The wooden bed hangs around her neck always, a reminder that she was meant to fly. The other rescued girls live nearby, a sisterhood born from shared survival. Sometimes, at sunset, Osei stands on the hill overlooking the village. And the light comes, gentle now, peaceful. Not a shield, but a celebration. The ancestors dancing around their daughter who learned to use suffering as soil to grow flowers instead of thorns. The men the light touched. Most of them changed. Really changed. Used their wealth to undo the damage they'd done. It didn't erase their crimes, nothing could. But it proved something important: even the darkest soul can find light, if someone shines bright enough to show the way. Adjoa never changed. Spent her prison years convinced she was the victim. Some people are so committed to darkness, they'd rather go blind than see light. That's not punishment, that's choice. And Osei, she learned the truth her stepmother never could: you cannot sell what's priceless. You cannot cage what's meant to soar. You cannot destroy what's protected by love that transcends death itself. They called her the girl who turned men into beggars. But that was never the full story. She was the girl who turned suffering into power, trauma into testimony, pain into purpose. She was sold again and again, but she could never be bought. Because some souls are too bright to be dimmed. Some lights are too strong to be extinguished. Some children are too loved by ancestors to ever truly be orphaned. Remember this: the wicked stepmother sold her stepdaughter for money, but what she didn't know was that you cannot profit from divinity. You cannot trade what belongs to the ancestors. And you cannot break what's been built by generations of protective love. The girl always came back richer, not in money, but in purpose. And in the end, that's the only wealth that matters.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more inspiring stories. See you next time.